Last week, we told you about an East Texan preparing to travel to the Rose Bowl to march in the parade. Thomas Hawthorne has returned from his California debut, a new member of his family's three-generation-long tradition. East Texas News Weekend's Katie Parker followed up with the family about their time out west.
It was life-changing.
Thomas Hawthorne traveled to Pasadena, California to march in the Rose Bowl parade New Year's Day. An accomplishment he shares with his dad and grandpa as the third generation.
The atmosphere at that parade is unparalleled to anything else. They told us there was around 2 million people on just the parade route itself. And so it's huge and energetic.
Thomas says sharing this bond with his family is meaningful, and so are the relationships he made with fellow Bands Across America members.
It's just incredible meeting so many new people that have the same kind of interests as me, and immediately becoming friends. Knowing that there's so many other people that like band all around the United States, it's just it's a nice feeling.
Thomas's dad, Rance, says seeing his son have the same experience he did 20 years earlier brings out a sense of familiarity.
It all kind of came back to me. I'm probably now going to get them confused with something that I did over something he did. Like, which one did I actually do?
Something they definitely both have in common: the parade route's 5.5-mile march.
When I marched the parade, we took that left turn, and we were all thinking, all right, it's getting close to the end. And then somebody held up a sign that said 3 miles left. And it was very disheartening, but it was a joke. It was only 3 blocks left at that point.
With this family tradition beginning in 1971, Thomas says his experience only confirms he'd like to pass the torch.
Oh yes, that is a big hope of mine because this is an extremely cool experience.
Katie Parker, East Texas News Weekend.
Thomas's grandpa watched from right here in East Texas and says he was able to spot his grandson in that marching lineup.